My journey is one of full transformation. Understanding being the angry peacemaker to the peace doctor, it's like the ebb and flow of what we call life. And understanding that you don't have to be stuck in one space. You can evolve and move into different phases of your life. I am not who I was yesterday. I'm not who I was years ago. I am Erica Ford, the peace doctor, but I just am.
Miss Erica Ford, known as the Peace Doctor, is a human rights activist and violence prevention pioneer. Starting her journey in 1987, her passion for the people led her to establish and lead Life Camp Incorporated, which offers at-risk youth education, employment, and social opportunities, thereby reducing violence in and on the streets. Miss Erica Ford is telling her story. Akwabata Summertime. Akwabata Summertime, everyone. On today's episode of Telling Our Stories, I'm here with a beautiful activist who has impacted communities nationwide. I am sitting right next to the beautiful activist, Miss Erica Ford. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for coming and visiting us.
No, thank you so much for even showing me around. I love the Peace Mobile so far. It is definitely peaceful. And like right when I walked in, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. This is cozy. It tells you like, hey, you're welcome here.
Yes.
And I love that.
That's the whole purpose of it. Is we want to mobilize peace.
Yes, that's beautiful. And it's something that we all need.
Yes.
Now, I always love to start at the beginning. So what was your childhood like? And did any of your childhood end up leading you to want to become an activist?
So as a baby, 3 years old, my father died in the Vietnam War. And, we moved here after that to New York from California. I was born in California. He was stationed in Fort Ord. And I think the anger and the trauma was inside of me that I didn't know what to do with, right? And so I just think it always remained. Growing up, I grew up in Southeast Queens. A lot of the friends who I played in the sandbox with, who grew up with, was involved in the crack epidemic that took over our community in the 80s and the 90s.
The crack epidemic spread across the country, significantly impacting numerous African American communities. This led to a rise in addiction, fatalities, crime, and mass incarcerations.
I saw the impact of that on their family, on their children. And then also in growing up, one of my friend's mother was one of the leading, like the modern day Harriet Tubman. Her name was Viola Plummer. One day, just after hanging out, because that's what we did as young people, right? You party, you go to the park, ride your bikes.
Yep.
When we stop at your friend's house,
Yep.
And as I stopped at my friend's house, they had a flyer on the wall about a rally. And I was like, what is that? Like, whoa, I want to go. Mm-hmm. And after meeting Viola Plummer and working with her for all of these years, I realized what she meant. And I realized I got woke that day. And that was December 12th, 1987. And one thing I missed out is that, and I don't talk about this most, but I'm going to be talking about it a lot, because as evaluating my own life, I realized it had an impact. And I went to a Catholic school. And from the third grade, I used to get in trouble for talking too much, right?
That's kind of relatable for me. I used to get in trouble a lot for talking in kindergarten.
Yes, and now you're talking for a living.
Yep.
And so what I say is that they didn't know how to cultivate my greatness. They didn't know how to cultivate your greatness, right? And so I used to get, they used to make me stand in front of the class with my hands out.
Oh, wow.
And if when I dropped my hand, it hit me with a ruler and hit the hand up, right? I used to stand with one foot up, and it was like real corporal punishment that I used to experience at that school. They used to make me write the Bible, and I used to have to write the whole Bible. That's probably why I don't really relate to the Bible right now, because the Bible was used as a punishment in my life, as torture in my life, and so those things made me angry, both of them, against a system that I thought was supposed to protect me and was supposed to be there for me. And so it sparked me into, once I got connected to the movement, to never want to give up.
Mm-hmm. And I like how you're able to keep that fire of not giving up. Now, you mentioned about families. One thing I want to know is, like, have you been able to see the shift in families from when it was more together and our nuclear families were, like, better before the crack epidemic,
Right.
and what effect it had on you?
So for me, in my personal family, it didn't impact me, right? Because we were always still there. What impacted me was this war that we were in Vietnam that took my father away and then put rules and regulations on my mother, right, in order for her to get the support, which I felt, I questioned it my entire life. But I definitely saw the impact on my friends and everyone around me. I think I lost at least 70 people,
Wow.
to gun violence in that time.
Crazy.
And mass incarceration. Like, they did 30, 40 years. Some of them are just coming home from the 80s and the 90s. The brother that opened the door for us, he did 31 years
Wow.
in jail, for a crime he didn't commit. And so you see the fear and the anger of losing your loved one. You lash it out on your child. You lash it out on those around you. And then in those days and time, when you lead to the breakdown of the family, there was BCW. It was called BCW at the time, the Bureau of Child Welfare, and then they changed the name. Every time they get these cases that expose their true nature of racism and slavery, they change their name. But a lot of children were taken out their home and put in foster care, right? And so the family, and then those families, when you call them 80s babies, right, they then are now raising children from that same trauma and fear.
Yes.
And so...
And it's like a generation of
Correct,
trauma, pain, fear, and then all of that impacts on the next generation further and further. And that's something I actually want to get into, because I believe that may be one of the leading causes for all these crimes and stuff, the mental illness and all of, like, the generational pain. How are we able to, like, stop that, or at least lessen it? And then with you doing everything that you do, has it taken a toll on you to see all of that happen in our communities?
Yeah. So the Peace Doctor Playbook is quotes and inspirational messages that I gave to young people in my work to change and break that cycle, right? To change their mindset, to give them new tools in their toolbox that they can use to navigate through problems and trials and tribulations and mindsets.
Yes.
That were holding them back, right? And so we can change. I've seen it, right? I've seen it in my work. I've seen young people put their guns down and pick up cameras. I've seen young people put their guns down and their behavior down and pick up yoga mats, right? And do yoga in the middle of the projects, right? And change. And so young people ended up selling smoothies and juices instead of selling crack and cocaine and drugs. And so that cycle was broke, right? And so how do we continue it? We get more young people like you, right? We make it cool to be positive, right? And so that's what the Peace Doctor Playbook talks about, how your life is your life, right? Nobody holds power over what you should do, how you should think, what's cool, right? And that's something that I dominated, right? I wanted to make peace cool. And so I had to make myself cool, right? So that young people would want to be part of me. And then we did teen parties, but they did the teen parties. So they were the people who were security. They were the people who collected the money. They were the people who planned the event planners. They were the people that sold the drinks and did the, side thing. They were the DJ and the performances. And now a lot of them are professionals at those things that they did at the teen parties. Right?
That's
when they were
amazing.
young people. And that's what it's about. Investing in young people's mind and their dreams helps break those cycles.
Yes. Now, being an activist, is activism for everybody, or is it only for those who have a specific type of heart and a mindset to be able to take on all of that head on?
I often say, what is an activist? I'm a Black woman living in America under oppression and racism. And I think that for me, I don't like to be put in boxes. Because if you say someone is an activist, then they're not a creator. I created systems, that are eradicating violence across America.
Mm-hmm.
I've developed Peace Week in New York, right? An innovator. I created this Peace Mobile, right? I've inspired young people to change their lives and do something different. I've inspired mothers and fathers to live after they lost their children. Right now, I am activating something new inside of them. But what tends to happen in society is people get put in boxes, right? Like you're a genius.
Thank you.
Right? But they'll say, oh, she's just a young person that talks to people and interviews them. Right? And you're not, you're a genius. Right? And so continue to reinvent yourself and grow through your dreams and aspiration to apply pressure to where you think pressure needs to be applied to change the conditions of your life and the lives of those around you.
Now, you mentioned about the different organizations that you have. Which one did you start first? And how has that blossomed into?
That's a good question.
Today? Thank you.
You know why? Because December 12th, 1987, I went to this rally and I got woke, as they say in that box, right? and since I was conscious, I created, on the bus ride back, me and some of my friends, the Black Consciousness Movement, right? Or was it the Black BCM? Or was it By Any Means Necessary? But whatever, we created the I think it was the Black Consciousness Movement. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was like, Black Power, right? There was no Black Lives Matter, Black Power. We will, right? Because what does it mean to matter? But I want to, matter to who too? Mm-hmm. It's matter to ourselves.
Yes.
But and the second day, December 13th, which was a Sunday, I called myself and bringing my friends, and we went to Floyd Flake's church, Allen AME Church. And we, when there was a point in time in the service where the pastor goes, like, does anybody, feel they have something to say, and visitors and all of that? And I stood up, I do. and then when I stood up, my friends stood up around the church, and we disrupted his church service.
Wow.
And because he was a leader to me, and I was young. I was 22 years old at that time. And I wanted to know why he wasn't at the rally that I was at the day before, right? Because everybody important was there. Everybody who was in the movement was there. And so, that was my first act. And that led to creating the Code Foundation with Tupac Shakur. And then we partnered with Ja Rule, and we did Ja Rule's Life Camp and this Life Camp now. Love ignites freedom through education, right? And I did Life Camp for 22 years. And now I am passing over the day-to-day operation, right? People say, oh, you're retired. I'm retired from the day-to-day work, right? Whoever punches in, what uniform they wear, and what they're really doing on a day-to-day basis, I'm not involved in. But elevating the organization and the message on a national level, on an international level, bringing major resources to the organization is my job as the CEO of Life Camp, And the Peace Doctor, I've elevated into the Peace Doctor. And I think because we address violence as a disease, as a public health crisis. And so we look at it the same way they look at going into the emergency room, right? That you have to go into the Life Camp, and then we put you into the right department that allows you to get your healing that you need. And so, doctors are those that address diseases, that address illnesses. And so this is an illness, a disease that we have in terms of the violence. And so the Peace Doctor was born out of that Life Camp's journey. And I'm doing it more to create more access and engagement to young people, because it's far better to build the cycle of peace than to break the cycle of violence.
It is far better. And because when you do that, hopefully there will be no more violence.
Correct.
And there will be no need to break that because it is already broken. Now, this book already looks beautiful and inspiring. Did you face any minor challenges trying to write it and put everything that you have done when it comes to Life Camp and everything that you've learned into this book? And can kids my age follow the same steps in this book?
So the book is a journal, right? And so that means that every day you or anyone else can pick up this book and I'm there with them, right? And what I mean by that is I'm helping them through their process, right? I'm giving them tools to make a different decision, to go on past that pain, to not allow the noise to distract them, to plan, right? 12 or 35 or 55 or 65. You can't just wake up and roll into the world. You got to plan your days. You got to plan your weeks. You got to plan your months. If you have a family, you got to plan for your children. If you want your child to be a great whatever, just great, that has to be intentional from there in the womb. And you're talking to them and you're nurturing them, right? And then once they come out, then there's a plan. And everything you do and say and expose them to feeds into that plan, it destroys it or it builds it. And it's the same thing with your dreams, because giving birth to Life Camp, the organization is like, that was my child, right? I can't not really give birth, right? I never gave birth to a child, right? I don't have a child by birth, but I have thousands of children, right? And so in building an organization, and I didn't get it, there was a lot of challenges, I wish I had this, when I was building it. But there's a lot of challenges in building an organization, in building a family, in just showing up to work. Just showing up to work.
Yeah, a lot of many challenges you face.
A lot of many challenges. It was my friend's son who works here was involved in a situation and a young man got killed and his family member got shot. And so that totally took over them. She couldn't come to work, right? She couldn't, and then even after that, she couldn't come to work so how do we help people, right? Get the tools that they need to just be able to breathe.
Yes.
They say put your oxygen mask on, and then, so this is the oxygen mask for the neighbor in the next seat, right?
I'm glad that we have this, because going back to breaking down, like with all of the generational pain and everything, this helps with every trauma that they went through. So instead of generational pain, you have generational peace.
That's right.
And that's something that we need.
That's right.
So thank you so much for this book.
Everybody needs their playbook.
Yes.
Athletes don't go on the field without the playbook. Right? Athletes don't go on the court without the playbook. That's right. So why can't we?
Now, what are 2 fun facts about you that a few people know?
That a few people know? Okay. Because I was going to start rapping, but a lot of people know that. Fun fact that a few people know. I'm going to say this one, right? Because people are probably looking at me like, she at the basketball game, she at the football game, she's supposed to be an activist, what's she doing there, right? But I go to basketball games and football games because it allows me to just scream and yell and release and be like, when the whole arena is like, it kind of soothes your body in a sense that brings joy.
Yes.
Right? And I'm in trauma so much that I need that to survive. Literally, I need that to survive. And so I don't go and then of course at the basketball games, there's people of influence and things that you can connect with, but it is a relief time for me, right? It allows me to relieve from a lot of the stress that almost killed me. No, literally, I almost died last year.
Wow.
And so that's not a fun fact, but that is a fact. And even people know that because I went on Angie Martinez's show and talked about it. But it is the accumulated stress on my body and the accumulated impact of the negative food that I ate for so many years, right? And drinks and sodas that I drank that allowed my nervous system to just totally deplete, right? And it wasn't, serving purpose for me, but it was the white blood cells that were coming to help. People normally have 2,000 white blood cells called eosinophils. I had 200 100,000. And so I lost 62 pounds in under 2 months. And I went from 162 to 100. I was nothing. And so, the playbook allows you to know the importance of taking care of yourself. It allows you to know the importance of putting your health as the priority. Yeah. And so the other fun fact is I like water. I like to ride the jet skis in the water, and just, that's just a whole nother rush. It's a whole nother rush. It just makes you feel free. I like freedom. So the things that make me feel free, I attach to.
But with water, I love water because you could look at it and you just get a sense of peace from it.
Yes.
Especially when you see the waves just going
Yes.
in and out. It's therapeutic in a way.
Yes.
And when you look at it, you
Yes.
just have a wave of calmness.
Yes.
So you guys, that's something that you guys should try. It's actually
Yes.
really nice. I just look at the window sometimes and I could be staring at it however long. I'm
Yes.
oh my gosh.
All right.
That's
So we're
beautiful.
going to do the next interview on the yacht, huh?
We should.
That's right.
We
Because,
should.
I'm going to sell 1 billion books, and, I'm going to get that yacht
on
for
a
the
yacht.
movie. That's right. Because that's the other narrative, right? Because I've dedicated my life to serving the people, should I be poor? No. So why is it, people, this world is so, and that's why you cannot allow other people to get into your head. Most activists die poor because they feel that they're supposed to just give. Right? And that's not it. Those are the folks that should receive the most. These guys are getting millions of dollars to run up and down the court and play basketball. Right? An artist who goes, the imbalance of how people get paid is just crazy. It's just crazy. And so, enjoy your life, build your wealth. Don't allow someone to define anything about you. Right? And that's what this whole thing is about.
Yeah, I feel that everybody should have a fair pay because activists, they do so much for the community and for whomever or whatever they're trying to make peace with or fix that it's not fair to see them suffering after they've given so much to the people.
That's right.
That's not fair at all.
It's not fair at all.
So that's something that we need to work on.
That's right. Your generation will.
We need to make sure that these people who've given so much to us, they also receive too.
Yes.
Because it's not fair if it's just going one way instead of a whole circle.
Correct.
It needs to be a circle.
Yes.
Let's try to work on that, guys. Please, let's try to work on that. Now, what is one advice you wish you learned sooner before starting everything?
That's one, right? Accumulating wealth. So many opportunities to accumulate wealth that I didn't look at it as being important. And so I didn't accumulate wealth. I got wealth. I got funds, for everyone else. I helped everyone else eat. But helping myself eat. It took me a long time to even take a salary. Right? I was just give. And so the other thing is that everything's not going to happen right now. It doesn't need to happen right now. That learning to trust the process is something that I wish I respect the process, build the process, have faith in the process, and then rest.
Yeah, rest is important.
You don't have to be everywhere. I used to, and a lot of people, not only the fear of missing out, but you hold yourself in a guilty space that if you don't go to that rally, if you don't go up that event, or if you don't show up for that person, that you're the worst person in the world, or you're not doing your job, or you're not committed to, the movement, right? And you can't be everywhere. You can't do everything. And I know a lot of people get mad at me because I can't show up to something, and they might look at me and, see me at a basketball game. Well, you didn't come to my thing last week, but you at the basketball game. Because I can only do but certain amount of things. And so I have to pick and choose what is going to bring life into me. And so that knowing how to say no and put yourself in a space, and not from a space of individualism, right? Or ego, but just put yourself first. Because if you're no good, you're no good to nobody else.
Yes. And going back to the health, you also need to be able to take care of yourself for you to keep on attending to different things.
That's right.
Because if you're not well, then you can't go anywhere.
There it is.
Now, I live in Ghana, West Africa. Have you ever been there before?
I have not been to Ghana. I've been to Zimbabwe. Mm-hmm. I've been to Uganda. I've been to South Africa. And I've been to the Congo.
Wow, what were those experiences like?
Amazing. Changed my life. Changed my life. And, when I was in Zimbabwe and I stood on top of this mountain and you just see land forever. And it was just it was amazing. It was beautiful. The water, the waterfall, the love relationship of the people. It just was, and just us. It was a beautiful thing. I was young then, but it was an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience. My mother's from Panama, and so she would send us to Panama every summer. My first language was Spanish.
Wow.
I wish I knew it now. I didn't practice because everyone I hung out with didn't speak Spanish. No habla español, pero yo no hablo español. But I was supposed to go to, well, I wasn't going. My team was supposed to go to Ghana, but the trip got canceled. So we're definitely going to be in Ghana soon.
All right. But going back to about Panama, what was that experience like for you?
It was amazing, right? Because when you're a kid and you go to this other country and you're playing with the kids, none of y'all speak the same language, but you understood everything each other was saying, right? And it's just the exposure. My mother was very big on exposing us. And so she took us to a different place every summer on top of Panama or South Carolina where my father's family was. And, it was, the exposure is beautiful. The people, the culture, the food. Oh, the food is amazing. The food. Did I say the food? And I miss it because, and this is one thing I want to say to young people in your generation. And unfortunately, your generation has a default because of our generation. Our generation did not continue the cooking and the customs that our parents had, right? And so a lot of the recipes we don't have to even pass down to you guys. And so I need y'all to research those recipes so that we can get that down home, good cooking food like back in the day for our grandparents and our parents used to cook. All right, so that's your assignment. And then you're going to invite me over for a meal.
And I know with Ghana food, that one is really good. So you have different foods. You have fufu.
Yes.
You have something called jollof rice.
Yes.
You know about those?
Yes.
So and the light soups and even the wache. And for my wache fans, I know some of you eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't blame you. It is good.
Straight up.
And the food is just so wonderful, and it also tells a story at the same time.
Yes.
So that's one thing I really love about food, that's able to tell stories.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
Yes.
And also,
that's a fun fact. I love food.
All right.
People think I'm a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian. I eat healthy though. I use the Yuka app and I scan my food. I eat farm raised, healthy food and products. But I love food. I love food. I could go to a different restaurant every day. So anybody has a restaurant that wants me to come, invite me. I'll be there. And it doesn't matter what culture, right? I love food.
All right. Well, that's cool. And actually, for Ghanaian restaurants, there's a place called Accra Restaurant. So if you would love to eat any of the food there, definitely try
Give me
it.
a day and time. We could do a Peace Doctor Playbook event.
I heard that.
All right.
And yep. And speaking about South Carolina, want to know a fun fact about me? My mom's side of the family is from South Carolina.
Oh, word?
So like my grandmother was actually just telling us today what was like growing up over there.
Yeah.
And I've been over there like a couple of times myself, and it's beautiful from what I remember. And definitely you get like that down south country type feel, and then when you go over to Ghana, some of that kind of reminds me of South Carolina.
No,
as
definitely.
well.
The Carolinas definitely connect to the culture of our people on the continent. And that's the other thing. It's a continent, y'all. It's not a country.
Yes.
Africa is a continent. A lot of, because it's indigenous inside of us, right? When we were taken and brought here, folks went to the Black Belt South. And so those cultures entwined in how they raised and lived down there. And so it's inherent. The Geechee, and so on and so forth.
Yes. And I feel like that everybody has that inside of them. It's just that you have to find a way to let it wake up.
Yes.
And then you can see like whatever
Yes.
was meant for you and whatever's supposed to be for you.
Yes.
And I think my mom was telling me the other day like how everything passes down from like your grandparents, your great grandparents, and so on and so forth. And it goes through your DNA and it tells a story of everything. So going back to where you originally came from, all of that is embedded in your DNA.
Yes. Sí, yo sabe. Pero, I just thought I didn't act like I know Spanish. Right? And the book is going to be in Spanish.
Oh,
we're gonna have a Spanish version for the book. I got to connect to my culture, right? Got to be able to go to Panama and do some. But on the flip side, there's that generational trauma that's always also inside of you, right?
Yeah, my mom said that too.
From the years of slavery and everything else, Jim Crow and all of the abuse and so on and so forth. And so that's why it's important every day to meditate, every day to find a place and just sit and be still, right? So that you can switch that energy that's inside of you to only expose the beautiful energy and erase everything else.
Yes. And I know about the Peace Mobile, how you guys have different activities for you to also let all of that out, like the punching bag, and then the studio for you to
paint on beats.
Paint on beats, exactly, like, for all of that. And that's a beautiful way to let out whatever has been built up inside you and bottled up.
Yes.
Just let it out.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Likewise, I appreciate you, Queen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I would like to teach you 3 words from Ghana before we go.
All right, let's go.
Akwaba, which means welcome.
Yes, Akwaba.
Itising, which means how are you?
Itising?
Perfect.
Itising.
Madasi.
Madasi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right,
Madasi, Itising, and Akwaba.
Perfect.
There's an Akwaba mansion in Brooklyn.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a breakfast. I don't know if it's still. It's a breakfast, a bed and breakfast. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yes.
That's dope. Do you happen to know the day of the week you were born on?
The one that ends with DAY.
I like how you did that there. But I would love to find out so that I can also be able to give you your day name, since that's a very popular thing over there. Like for me, I'm born on a Sunday, so my name would be Issy.
Okay. So I was born April 8th, 1965. Mm-hmm. So whatever day that was, we'd have to Google that.
Yep. Now, you are actually a Ya since you were born on Thursday.
All right.
Know a fun fact?
Tell me.
You share a name with one of Ghana's most historical women who actually led a whole army.
All right.
Miss Ya Asantua.
That's the...
Yes, like she was able to keep her tribe fighting to make sure that the colonizers wouldn't colonize that tribe, the Ashanti tribe. So, yep, you share a name with one of the most beautiful and historical women in Ghana.
Yo, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. That's divine alignment. And, for this year, this Thursday coming is the day the book is going to be released.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
It's December 12th.
It's
my 37th anniversary of doing this work.
Wow. So happy birthday to that in advance.
That's right. Because
beautiful.
In all reality, right, when you're evolving, something dies and something is born inside of you, right? And so definitely that day, it was a born, something. I Erica Ford, as you see me now, was born.
A little bird told me you have another fact for me.
Yes, yes, yes. The fun fact is that if somebody comes to a meeting with me, or they come someplace, like I say to them, come with me right over there, they could end up in another city. They could end up in another state. They could end up on a plane someplace else, and so most people are afraid of going with me anywhere because they have no idea where they're going to end up or who they're going to end up with. They could end up at the White House. They could end up backstage at a concert. They could end up at a celebrity's house. They could end up mediating a conflict, and somebody taking a gun out of somebody's hand and interrupting. She was like, wait, no, I'm not going to that one. But you never know where you're going to end up with me. So watch out for when I say, come on, let's go with me. We'll be right back. People are afraid of we'll be right back.
Because you're a very flexible and spontaneous
I'm
person.
very spontaneous. I walked in my friend's office a couple of years ago, and was like, let's go to Miami tomorrow. But I did that recently as well, right? I'm like, let's go. I don't remember where we went, I think Puerto Rico or someplace like that. But yeah, I will wake up and we could be someplace else.
Wow. That's
easy.
Crazy.
And the thing is, and this has, people have to learn how to, when I say plan your life, right? So I use those points. The credit card that I use is attached to points for hotels, points for flights. And so at any point in time, I have points that could take me to another country and have the ability to stay in a hotel for free. Because intention, that's what I like to do. And so I make sure that I do things that feed into what I like to do and gives me the ability to do it. Right? And that's how you got to plan your life. That's what tells you in the Peace Doctor Playbook. Use your tools.
Yep. Because you're planning, you're like, okay, if I want to get these points, I have to go to this place, go to that place, and do this and that. So it's good that you're able to plan ahead for you to enjoy those benefits.
That's right.
That's
right.
That's something we should all learn to do.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate it. It's not even like an interview. It was like a whole conversation we had here.
Yes.
It was really fun. I learned so much.
Likewise.
And this environment, it's just so peaceful, so calm. Like, you guys should definitely come and support the Peace Mobile and the Peace Center in general.
Yes.
This is just so peaceful and beautiful and welcoming. Like, I can't say it enough, guys. Yes. I can't say it enough. Like, just come over.
Yeah. Peace is a lifestyle. Tune in. Peace is a Lifestyle is the organization website. ericaford.org is mine. And it's important to support those people who are in things that help protect you.
Yes. Now, before we go, can you please finish this statement?
Okay.
At the end of it all, Miss Erica Ford is grateful for
life, and everybody in it. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
Likewise.
And guys, this concludes our beautiful episode of Telling Our Stories. Until next time on Summertime. And it's a wrap. And it was beautiful.
Yes.